Good Monday morning from Billings, where the first full blast of winter has not yet hit us. As I record this, the temperature is 59, heading for a high of 64. No guarantee that this will last, though, before we get some icy weather and snow. Before I get into the meat of this YouTube video, I want to mention a couple things. First, if you watched the World Series recently, you saw someone with a direct tie to Billings. That was Miguel Rojas, whose home run in Game 7 was listed as the 12th most impactful play in baseball history. Rojas was the Billings Mustangs' starting shortstop for their inaugural game at Dealer Park, which replaced Cobb Field in 2008. One other thing I'd like to mention is that the launch for Dave McNally, the Montanan Who Revolutionized Baseball, is now scheduled for Sunday, November 23rd from 2 to 4 p.m. at this House of Books in downtown Billings. If you're within easy driving range, I hope to see you. I'll try to get to your town later on as roads and other logistics allow. Now, what I'd like to do is share with you one of the best stories from the book. This is the story about Dave's still record Grand Slam home run in the 1970 World Series. Here's the backdrop. In 1970, Dave posted his best regular season record, the best regular season record of his career. He won 24 games, lost 9. He had an ERA of 3.22. He struck out 185 batters while walking 78. And the setup for the series that year was that Earl Weaver's team reached the World Series again by defeating the Minnesota Twins in the American League playoffs. They swept them in 3 games that included an 11-2 win in the second game. Dave beat the Twins on 6 hits, walked 5, and struck out 5. And just as a little preview, I guess, he went to bat and drove in a run with a run-scoring double. Then it was on to the series against the Cincinnati Reds, the start of the Big Red Machine. Jim Palmer and Tom Phoebus pitched and won the first 2 games for the Orioles, 4-3, 6-5 respectively, at Riverfront Park in Cincinnati. That sent the series to Baltimore's Memorial Stadium. Dave got the call to pitch Game 3. And this description that I have in the book is derived from a YouTube video that I discovered here a year or 2 ago, which is a recording of NBC's broadcast of the game. On October 13th, 1970, a national TV audience watched the NBC broadcast of the game that would give Dave lasting fame. Wyoming native Kurt Gowdy was calling the play-by-play. Gowdy said that a, quote, a building hand, end quote, greeted Dave as he came to the plate with 2 out and the bases loaded in the 6th for his 3rd at-bat of the game. The TV camera showed his wife Jean wearing a hat and dress in the stands, and the screen displayed Dave's season batting average, an overpowering .133. Reds reliever Wayne Granger worked the count to 2-2, trying to get McNally to chase a bad pitch, Gowdy said. Dave waited for the next pitch. He had a slight grin on his face. He fouled a pitch to left field. Then he connected. He had missed 2 sinking pitches from Granger, and he connected on a waist-high fastball. Quote, "That's hit pretty good. Grand Slam home run," Gowdy told his nationwide audience. After rounding the bases, McNally headed to the dugout, where he got a pat on the back from Frank Robinson. McNally's dinger landed far in the left field bleachers, an estimated 360 feet away. Quote, "World Series has just been made, Gowdy said. Dave McNally has become the first pitcher to hit a World Series Grand Slam home run. Side note, no other pitcher has equaled that feat in World Series play. And his home run was a blast that landed about 10 rows back in the left field stands, and it gave Baltimore an 8-1 lead. It was the 12th Grand Slam home run, and it wasn't as if Dave was the only Orioles pitcher with long ball hitting ability in postseason play. Mike Cuellar had damaged the Twins with a grand slam in the playoff series, and McNally's dinger allowed the Orioles to cruise to a 9-3 triumph in which he got credit for the win. Quote, "It has become quite evident that the Orioles can do no wrong," Gowdy said. Now I'm going to jump ahead a little bit and tell you a couple more associated stories involving Dave's family. First, in the middle of the 7th inning, NBC color man Tony Kubek tracked down Jean and her son Jeff in the stands. He asked Jean what she thought of her husband's homer. "Great, so exciting." Quote, "I don't know why you're so nervous. Dave doesn't look nervous at all," Kubek said. Jean's reply, "I think he is. I'm having a tough time settling down. I'm sure he is trying to pitch." And then Kubek turned to Jeff. Again, he's 7 years old, puts his microphone in front of the kid, who's wearing a suit and a tie. "Jeff, when your pop came up with the bases loaded, what were you thinking about?" Kubek asked. "I thought he wasn't going to get a hit. I thought he was going to get out," Jeff replied with a perfect youngster deadpan. And it wasn't just Jeff who had some doubts about Dave's hitting ability. 2,000 miles away, his sister Dee, oldest of Beth McNally's 4 children, sat in the boardroom of a prestigious Phoenix law firm on that afternoon in October 1970. Dee wondered how her, quote, baby brother, as she had called him when he was a Little League player in Billings, would respond to what would become the biggest moment of his baseball career. Dee Nobles, that was her married name, was a legal secretary who started her career in Billings. The prospect of better pay prompted her to move to Phoenix. There she joined a firm in which John J. O'Connor was a principal. His wife, Sandra Day O'Connor, would become the first woman named to the U.S. Supreme Court after her 1981 nomination as a justice by President Reagan. And let me jump ahead a little bit. The firm where Dee worked included lawyers who were baseball fans. Enough so they planned to watch the TV broadcast of Game 3 of the 1970 World Series in the firm's boardroom. O'Connor and others knew Dee was Dave's sister. Thus, it might have seemed natural to include her in the group watching the game on TV. Then and now, however, an unwritten rule in many law firms was that lawyers and legal secretaries didn't socialize. Lawyers in this firm, though, invited Dee to join them. That was very atypical, she told me more than a half century later. The group settled in to watch the game. Then in the 6th came the big moment for Dave and his big sister. Quote, Dave came up to bat. I said, "Oh no, he can't hit the broadside of a barn." And then he cracked that grand slam. I never lived that down around the firm. When we have the launch event a little less than 2 weeks from now, I hope that Dee will be in the audience. She's the only one of the 4 children of Beth McNally still living. And if I read that story, I hope she'll take it with as much good humor now as she did when she described her reaction 2 or 3 years ago. Again, thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel.